Now, when we get into this topic of commercial thinking in HR, I'm going to really talk about it. I'm going to encourage you just to drop the HR about that today. So we're going to talk about commercial thinking. And I do think about the entrepreneurial mindset. So it's not necessarily that we need to go on and on using that word. It's about what it means and how you embody the ethos of that. Now, sometimes when we think about commercial skills, and I think of some of the HR teams and people that I work with, it can almost be that it feels a little bit like this is rocket science. And we almost set blocks and barriers to ourselves before we get into it. So the good news is it doesn't need to be rocket science, and actually I think the core of it comes down to your motivation and how you feel about it, how excited are you about it. I think anybody can be more commercial, it's just about the way that you think about it. So just a quick question, you don't need to shout it out, but just consider this now. When somebody says to you, we're going to talk about commercial HR, or the word commercial, how do you feel? How does that word make you feel? Is it filling you with excitement, energy, passion, drive? Think about that. If it's not, why isn't it? If you say the word, you need to be commercial, you need to be more commercial to somebody in your team, a member of your HR team, how do you think it makes them feel? Are they inspired by that? Does it put a fire underneath them? I'm not sure. It'll be different for everybody. But part of what I want to talk about today is how you reignite that fire for commercial thinking in yourself and in the people that are potentially working for you as well. How are we going to reignite that fire, and then what are you going to do with it? What's the action that then follows from that? You guys know this stuff. So if you were to do an online search, there's a raft of information out there about finance for non-finance managers, commercial awareness, and this is part of, I think, the drain in that. How exciting and engaging is this stuff? Where do you start? How do you know what's good? How do you know what isn't? It becomes a little bit of a mission or a potential block even before you get into it. We're almost like blocking ourselves in engaging in this way of thinking. So that yes, the stuff you can go online and you can search this stuff. You can go on courses. Has anyone been on a finance for non-finance managers course? Yep. If you've been on one and it was great, keep your hand up. Yeah. Okay.
Balance sheets.
Yeah. So there's a fundamental issue here. Okay. Where's the fire? Where's the excitement? How are we supposed to push this forward with passion and engage our teams behind it if we haven't got that within ourselves? You can read a million books on this, I'm sure. There's 103 search examples when I googled commercial awareness on Amazon. The main thing I think you can do, and the great leverage point, I feel like I'm going to pick up on a couple of themes that have already been discussed today as well, is the key to this potentially is actually within your own business, and it's within yourself. It's within your network, commercial and personal network, and it's within social media. The amount of information you can get from crowdsourcing now, so you just put a question out there in terms of your social media activity. This is a great source of information because you're getting trusted recommendations from people that you know, and it's more likely to be up to date as well. Okay, so yes, there is a load of places that you can start. What I'm going to suggest is that start with the things that are closest to you, your network, and your personal network and your commercial network. What I want you to think about is this. Now, I know this is a cliche, but I do believe it rings true, particularly with regard to commercial skills. How you do one thing is how you do everything. So if you're the kind of person that hasn't got a handle on their own personal budget and finances, you're not savvy in that area, how are you then going to translate that into your day-to-day life? You need to embody this. If you want to think commercially, you need to apply it in every area of your life, particularly if you're in a position where you need to inspire your team. So you embody it, you do it because you have to do it, but you also do it because it's exciting and you want to do it. Now, there are some foundations that I always talk about in this context as well. I think there are 4 clear areas for me that I always look at when I'm working with people on a one-to-one or with teams. And we start with, okay, so let's look at yourself first, and it's about knowing yourself. And in terms of this piece around knowing yourself, you need to become a serial learner. So this never switches off, okay? So we can all learn something new every day. The second point is about learning your profession. And I want you guys to really own it, because in taking ownership of our profession, we can then shape it. I spoke at the CIPD student conference earlier this year, and I asked the question to 300 people who were studying CIPD qualifications. I said, who in this room feels like they own their career? Who feels like they can influence the profession? How many people put their hands up out of 300? What do you think?
10.
None. In a room of CIPD students. It was quite scary. But we can own it. We can shape it. We've chosen this profession. We can own it and we can shape it. The industry that you're in, you need to love it. If you want to seriously deliver commercial results in your industry, in your career, you need to be somewhere where you are engaged with it and you love it. So you need to love the industry that you work in. Your business is the final one, and in this you need to be a real brand ambassador. And again, it needs to inspire you to the point that you can go out there and have those conversations, immerse yourself in the business, and it just becomes natural that you're so interested in what's going on in that business. This is not an extra task that you're adding onto your day. This is, you do it because you're interested and you care, and because it's something that genuinely you can start to shape and have influence over. My suggestion is that if you get all of those pieces in place, then actually delivering commercial results in a very tangible way isn't just possible, it becomes easy, and it actually can become fun as well. The key to all of this is networking within each of these areas, and think about your personal profile in each of those segments as well. So what's your personal profile like within your business that you operate in? What's the level of your personal profile within the industry that you operate in? What's your personal profile within the profession that you operate in? How can you elevate yourself so you can make an impact in each of those areas? Because then again, you can start to build influence and deliver more commercial results.